Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Telescope Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Everyone in this place, if you could do a handstand, I want to see your feet up in the air right now.
Hello, welcome to the Telescope Podcast, the show where we look at geek culture through the spyglass of faith. This is take number 4 of my intro. It's way too late, I should be sleeping, but I'm here for you, doing my best with the ability that my brain has left to bring you an amazing show. Well, today I'm going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm going to talk about Jules Verne. But first, I'm going to talk about some inventions that were made especially for TV audiences. That's right. There are some amazing inventions that were made into only sold on TV products. And there was a great article I read that featured some of these, so I'm going to share them with you. One of them was a toilet mat putting green. That's right, you could sit on the toilet and putt your ball into a little golf green hole thing. It was awesome. You better wash that thing, though. It's going to stink after a while. All right, there was a kit for training your cat to use the toilet. I've heard this is possible. I would love to hear from you if you have been successful in training a cat to use a toilet. I would love to see that. I'm sure there's a YouTube video of it. And there is a kit you can buy on TV to do that. Oh, excuse me, I got a yawn here. All right. Who remembers the old school movie Wayne's World? And if you remember, they were like ahead of their time. They could have been like YouTube stars, right? They were making videos for the homemade videos for the public access TV station. Well, anyway, in that movie, if you recall, on their show, they have the guy on who had invented a thing called a suck cut. And it was basically a vacuum cleaner that sucked in your hair, and then there were blades inside that cut your hair. And this is actually a real product called a Flowbee. And what that name even means, I don't know, but it's awesome. Basically a huge shop vac with probably spinning blades that cut your hair. Sweet. Somebody thought of that and then actually made it. Like, that happened. Wow. Well, for $14.99, you can save your work clothes from getting annoying stains. There is an invention called the slobber stopper. And it's basically a bib. It's a bib, and the picture shows a dude in his car with this humongous adult-sized bib on, and he's sipping a cup of coffee, and there's huge drips coming down from the cup. You know, everybody's got the leaky lid before, right? Well, get yourself a slobber stopper, and it won't even matter if your lid is leaky. You can just spill coffee all over the place. The slobber stopper has got you covered. Literally. Well, if you are too nervous to use Q-tips, your ears are a little sensitive, you don't want to stick a Q-tip in there, there is a made-for-TV product called the Wax Vac. That's right, it's like a handheld vacuum cleaner for your ears. And maybe the inventors of the Wax Vac could get in touch with the inventors of the Flowbee, and they could make the bee wax, the Flowbee Wax Vac. I don't know. Anyway, they can make something that would do both. That would be awesome. I don't know. Well, here's one of my personal favorites. It's called the Better Marriage Blanket, and here's the deal. The Better Marriage Blanket is made from the same material used in chemical warfare masks. Now, you might think, why would they make a blanket out of the same material that chemical warfare masks are used or are made from? Well, here's the answer. The answer is because the Better Marriage Blanket is made to absorb farts. That's right. It's a flatulence-absorbing blanket, so if your significant other passes gas in a mean way in the bed, the Better Marriage Blanket's got you covered. Again, literally. And it will absorb your partner's farts. Wow, that's amazing. Now, on this list of crazy inventions, There were a number of them that were related to bodily functions. There was the talking teepee, which is basically made for pranking people, right? It's a toilet paper roll holder that must be like motion sensitive. So when the person sits down on the john, the TP roll will talk to them. I don't know what it says, but it does. There was another one called the poo trap. This one was pretty sweet. It's it's like these straps that you put on your dog, and then the straps hold a plastic bag under your dog's bottom, and it just catches the poop. Yeah, so, that's not awkward at all for the dog. Just run around with a plastic bag hanging out their rear end for the time when nature calls. But they've even got a picture of the dog using it. They've got a picture of the poo trap in action. So, yeah, I don't know how many dogs would submit to that. The dog in the picture was a golden retriever, like the most docile dog on the planet. Well, there was another one called the long reach wiper, and that is for helping you. It's a big handle that has toilet paper on the end, and I will let your imagination do the rest. There was one, it was a portable urinal. That was interesting. And another one of my personal favorites is called the Euro Club. And what this clever device is for, if you're out on the golf course, like say you're gonna go golf 18 holes. That takes a long time, and while you're out there, you're walking, you are drinking some liquid refreshment, some Gatorade. Well, you get out to hole, like 13, all of a sudden you've got to take a leak. And, what do you do if there's a lot of people around? Well, the Euro Club has you covered. Basically, the Euro Club is a hollow golf club, and you unscrew, there's a screw cap up by the handle where you grip the club, and then there's this like green towel type thing that attaches to your pants, and then you're supposed to stand as if you're going to tee off, but in reality, you're behind the privacy of the little green towel thing, and you are relieving yourself and capturing it all in the golf club, the hollow golf club, and then I suppose you discreetly screw the cap back on. This is like the most ridiculous thing. I can't believe this is a real product, but it is. It is. I'm sure this kind of stuff is more used as gag gifts than anything else. I don't know. If you're out there and you are a Euro Club user, maybe this thing has totally saved your bacon, and I don't know. I'd love to hear about it if it has. All right, several more. You want to walk around Walmart in your pajamas? Well, there is a product called pajama jeans. That's right. They are made of pajama material, but they look like jeans. They look like jeggings, right? They're a female jean product. Sweet. And lastly, sauna pants. Yeah, you heard that right. Sauna pants. They're like pants that get hot. I'm not going to say anything more about that. Well, okay, let's shift gears here and talk about some other inventions. But these inventions are real inventions that were predicted by Jules Verne, author of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I've been reading this book, and it's been fun. I should say I listened to it. It was a great read, very fun, and I would recommend it to anyone. So here we go. Here's our science segment for the day. Jules Verne, 1828 to 1905. Those are the years he lived, and his imagination was way ahead of its time. Jules Verne envisioned electric submarines in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He envisioned newscasts in his book in the year 2889. Verne wrote that instead of being printed, Earth Chronicle is every daybreak spoken to subscribers who, from interesting conversations with reporters, statesmen, and scientists, learn the news of the day. this is an amazingly accurate prediction of the modern newscast. So pretty cool. He thought of solar sails for being in space. He thought of lunar modules for, being on the moon. He had the idea for skywriting, when you fly in an airplane and write something with the smoke or whatever. He had that idea being used for different things. Video conferencing, being able to do a video call. Again, in the book, in the year 2889. That was surprisingly hard for my tired brain to think of. The taser. He had an idea for a taser. This was in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It was a gun that used electricity to harm its victims. The splashdown spaceships. In the book From the Earth to the Moon, he imagined a spacecraft landing in the ocean and floating, which is totally what has been done already. So, yeah, it was a cool article that I found on ancientpages.com. So I'll put the link if you want to actually read the story. But, science fiction, fantasy, this kind of stuff is our imaginations reaching out and seeing what isn't but possibly could be. So that does it for today's science segment. All right, well, here is the feature content for today, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, or I guess it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I don't have a ton to say about this movie. I really did enjoy it. And here are the things I liked. I liked the small-scale story, that it wasn't the whole Earth is in peril like so many of the other superhero movies, so that was fun. I enjoyed the characters. It was a very character-driven movie. I love the dynamic between all the characters. I love how there was so much conflict. And when I say so much conflict, I don't mean like extremely epic conflict or battles, although there were a lot of really cool chase scenes and fight scenes and, sci-fi goodness and shrinking and growing and being huge and being tiny and being quantum. There was all that stuff. But there were just little conflicts between all the characters that made the story really interesting. And interesting on a small personal level. And that's what I loved about this movie, is that it was such a personal movie. It was about family. Scott Lang, a.k.a. the Ant-Man, his relationship with his daughter was a huge thing. His relationship with Hank Pym and his daughter Hope, that was a big thing, because they were kind of on rocky ground because of some things that happened in Captain America: Civil War. So that all bled into this film. I loved this new character, Jimmy Woo, the FBI agent who's also a youth pastor. And I have to say they poked fun. They totally poked fun at Christians just a little bit through this character, Jimmy Woo. But it was the kind of poking that was pretty harmless, and I enjoyed it, actually. I really enjoyed it, because they had this super square FBI agent, Jimmy Woo, he knows that Scott Lang is out there messing around. Scott Lang is supposed to be on house arrest in this movie, and Jimmy Woo knows that he's messing up, he's breaking the rules, but he just can't catch him in the act. And it's kind of a ongoing gag throughout the movie, and it was fun. It worked really well for me. I loved it. What else did I like? I loved seeing this new character, Bill Foster. He is got a SHIELD connection, and he's connected to Hank Pym's past, so he's another, super scientist. But he's played by Morpheus, and I don't even know who Morpheus's actual name is. In my mind, he's Morpheus. I saw him, and I was like, oh, cool, Morpheus. So a little sad that he's typecast, but I should have looked up his name, but forgive me. But I like that guy. I like his acting, and I loved his new character. And I particularly liked the villain of the film, the Ghost. And, we're going to go into some spoiler territory here, but I think the movie's been out long enough where I don't feel bad about that. But the Ghost is the villain, or one of the villains. There's actually another villain named Sonny Birch, who's like a gangster who steals and deals in technology. So he's another villain. But the super villain, the villain with the superpowers, is the Ghost. The Ghost has a super cool backstory. Again, has a shield tie-in, and has this ability to phase. Her body phases, and she can go through walls and stuff, and has been trained by shield. So just a really cool story, and makes an interesting nemesis. But what I love about the character is that they really make her. You really feel for her. You feel bad for her, and I did not want her to die in this movie. I wanted them to save her, and thankfully they did. So we're going to get to see her more. I believe as a good guy, or at least as a kind of a neutral person. Yeah. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. That one of those characters who's not necessarily like going to suit up as an Avenger, but who would help if it was really important. They would lend their services. So. Really fascinating character with the Ghost and Bill Foster. So I just really liked the movie. There wasn't a lot I didn't like about it. So here's where we get into some speculative territory, and this is where, if you're listening and you want to chime in and throw out your comment, go to the Facebook page, My Savior's Anthem Music and Podcasting. My cat's trying to give his opinion, trying to sit on my computer right now. I'm fighting him off. It's my own personal battle, but I think I can handle it. So anyway, here we go. Some speculation. After watching this movie, after thinking about how it ties into the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe, some of my thoughts are the Ghost. Now, the Ghost in the movie said that she was trained by S.H.I.E.L.D. and she felt used. And they never tried to help her because her superpower gives her some pretty sweet abilities, but it also is painful. Her abilities are painful and are kind of killing her, leading her to an early expiration. So the Ghost has come to despise S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's gone rogue, and she sought out Bill Foster, the scientist, the friend of Hank Pym, who's had a falling out with him. And anyway, so that's how that all ties in. Well, my question is, was she actually trained and used by S.H.I.E.L.D., or was it Hydra? Because if you recall, back in the day, Hydra was kind of doing its own thing inside of S.H.I.E.L.D., like a parasite, as I think one of the characters said in one of the Captain America movies. So that's a question. Was she, genuinely a S.H.I.E.L.D. asset, or was she being used by Hydra? So that's interesting. I don't know if that will even matter at this point, now that S.H.I.E.L.D. has basically gone away. Maybe her backstory is not going to come back in any major way, but it's food for thought. Another question is, does the Ghost's story have any crossover with Captain Marvel's story? Now, we don't know much about Captain Marvel, but we've seen from the trailer that Captain Marvel is set, like in the 90s. And it would fit the Ghost's age, that possibly she could have been active at that time. I don't know, maybe. I didn't do a lot of research, just a question that I had. And that would be really cool if there was a tie in there, especially because the Ghost and Ant-Man and Captain Marvel are all around and are all probably going to have something to do in the upcoming Avengers film, Avengers 4. So that, that just opens up all kinds of possibilities. So other questions I have. How does the quantum realm and the soul stone, or the quantum realm and all the Infinity Stones, how does that tie together? Ant-Man was in the quantum realm, and maybe he would have been one of the lucky ones to survive. But if you watch in the post-credit scene, Hank Pym and Janet, his wife, and Hope, they all were wiped away by Thanos' finger snap, the infamous finger snap, to kill 50% of the sentient beings in the universe, or the galaxy or whatever. But Ant-Man got stranded in the quantum realm. And so maybe he would have survived anyway, but maybe he survived because he was in the quantum realm. So how does the quantum realm and the soul stone and all that stuff, how does that all fit together? There's a lot of speculation that the characters that were killed, that their essence or their spirit is really just been sucked into the soul realm, or into the soul stone itself. And so that's how they're going to bring these characters back out, because they're not completely wiped away into oblivion, that they could be retrieved somehow. So sorry if that just ruined something for Infinity War 2, aka Avengers 4 for you. But anyway, that's what you get for listening to this kind of nerdy stuff. We talk about these theories here. So, and the last one I have down is... well, I guess it's just a restatement of my last one. What will Ant-Man's role be in Avengers 4, which comes out in May of 2019, just in case you're wondering like I was. So, well, there you go. Those are my thoughts about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the small scale. I enjoyed the relationships. I just enjoyed it. It was very fun, and it was also fun to see a movie filmed in San Francisco. And last summer, my wife and I visited San Francisco because she went there for a work trip. So a lot of the things that they showed in the movie, Fisherman's Wharf and that one road that's all twisty they showed, and just different scenes, it was like, oh, I remember all that. So that was cool. And then the next episode I'm going to do is going to be on Venom, which I saw recently, and that was filmed in San Francisco. So that was weird. The last two Marvel movies I've seen, or I guess Venom's not Marvel. Venom is Sony, excuse me. But the last two superhero movies I watched were both filmed in San Francisco. So that was kind of weird. So anyway, let's bring forth the telescope.
The telescope!
Well, Jesus uses mustard seeds as examples in several of his teachings. And so in one of these teachings, he says something like this: the kingdom of God's like a mustard seed. And basically he's saying it's small, but it will grow up to be large and massive, and all the birds of the air will nest in its branches. And what that's all about is Jesus, this one guy who dies a humiliating death at the hands of a brutal foreign army, totally disgraced, beat, spit on, crown of thorns, stripped naked, nailed to the cross, had his shoulders ripped out of joint, had nails driven through the big nerves that go through his wrists and his ankles, and whipped on the back with the cat of nine tails, which would have torn the flesh right off his body. He was just a mess, completely humiliated. They put the sign up there that said, this is the King of the Jews, and that was to mock the Jews because the Romans had dominated them and were in complete control of that country. And so here's Jesus, this little mustard seed. But Jesus had made the prediction that the kingdom of God was like a mustard seed, and that it would sprout up and become this massive thing. And that's exactly what happened. The prediction of Jesus completely came to pass. And even though Jesus was killed in this spectacular way, Christianity and what he did lives on. And where is the Roman Empire? It's gone. Where is the power and the glory of the politicians of that era? It's gone. Where is the fear of the Colosseum and the lions? It's all gone. Yet, the work of Jesus Christ lives on in the heart of, simple people who are seeking God and experiencing him. And it's a powerful thing. If you think about it, that prediction, it's a powerful thing that his message, Jesus, who never wrote a book, who never traveled extensively, just that powerful message of self-sacrifice, of loving your neighbor as yourself, of loving God, and of completely selling out to him and following him and giving your life for a cause that's greater than yourself, it's so powerful. And Jesus, of course, showed that he was genuinely the Messiah by fulfilling so many of the Old Testament predictions about the Messiah, that he would suffer, that he would come to Jerusalem on the donkey, that they would look on the one who they pierced. That so many, could go through so many. And then ultimately that he rose from the dead, and that he is still experienced by people all over the world. So, hey, I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead, and I am going to go to sleep. But thanks so much for listening. Take care. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
What's up, everybody? Everyone in this place, if you could do a handstand, I